Hi there, everyone. It's Robin Moser and Anna Terranova here for another edition of Season 2 of the Tipsy Realtor. And today, we're talking about the Devil's Margarita, and we're talking about the devils are being in the details. So how to write clauses that stick when you're writing in purchase contracts or even listing contracts. Things to make sure that if you're making an agreement, that everyone is on the same page. And we've all had that experience where we think everyone understood, and then when the outcomes come, it doesn't end up working that way. It does get
very tricky, and it's even tricky to write concise clause.
Yeah.
So we will try our best to educate you guys on how to do those clauses, what to look for the clauses. And of course, if you work with a professional realtor, we can always suggest how to do it. And sometimes two realtors are better than one, because you can actually have a teamwork. Sometimes you do have a teamwork. Sometimes it gets so tricky, we have to call a lawyer to tell us how to write that properly. But we're gonna go drinks first. We're gonna make it, so we're making Devil's Margarita, which is kind of like a fun drink. It's our last Halloween episode, the Halloween month episode, I guess.
That's right.
So we're continuing with our theme, and you can see Robin and I went all the way with the theme.
Yes, but we got tequila to start, the 1.5 ounces of tequila, and then the 1 ounce
freshly squeezed lime juice.
And then 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup.
And if you don't know, it's 1-to-1, so it's a 1 cup to 1 cup of water if you're making simple syrup at home. I'm becoming such a professional syrup maker. And you just shake it, and then you have a coupe glass, very nice and pretty one.
And what's really nice about this cocktail is actually it's got a really kind of nice finished look to it. So it certainly makes it look really impressive when you serve it, having that layered effect to it. And it really has a really kind of cool flavor to it. So I would say that this is, because I've made this one before.
So I never had it before. So I'm very interested to try it out.
Yeah, it is. I think that it's a very classy one. So now what we're doing is we're taking the red wine, using a spoon upside down to layer it. And we're pouring it.
Robin is using a special spoon that comes with a bar set, but you can use any spoon really to this matter. There you go.
There we go. Sorry, I was a little messy. Okay, so we've layered it, and
maybe
now
don't have a white counter while you're doing that.
And now
garnish it with a lime.
And if you look, you can see it looks exactly like the photo.
Picture. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Exactly.
Scared of this drink here.
Sorry, before I drink, I'm just gonna wipe the countertop.
Yeah.
Because red wine and granite don't get along.
Yeah, it's okay. I have a special stain remover. And yeah, I'm just gonna do this.
There's a lesson, hey? Red wine and granite don't get along.
Yeah, or white in general.
Exactly. Okay. So, here we are.
Cheers.
Cheers to the drink.
Thank you, Robin, for introducing us to a new drink.
Now, you can stir it and drink it like that, or you can leave it, but I really, really do love these.
It is really cute, and like, look how pretty it is.
It is a super pretty drink.
Yeah.
So, here we are.
I like it.
On to the next phase of our show, talking about the devil being in the details. Yes. Now, realistically, the thing you should know when you're looking at writing clauses to contracts is you want to write them in a way that they're enforceable and they're clear and they're measurable. And that's a big thing to try and do in a way that they can be enforceable. And of course, if you're ever worried about their enforceability, you can write a term in there that it's subject to you talking to a lawyer and getting those clauses approved with a lawyer. And no one should have a problem with that, because both sides of your contract should always want to ensure that all those clauses are enforceable.
You know what? I feel like we should maybe give an example. What kind of clauses would people like to write?
So the one that we get the most of, and obviously there's a lot of very strong opinions of it, is when cleaning.
Oh yeah.
Because cleaning is always this thing where people are like, well, I want the house cleaned upon possession, and they want the seller to take care of it. Now, realistically, I'm going to tell you as a realtor, I think you should always have someone clean the property yourself and take that into account when you're negotiating, because clean is subjective. And if you want a house clean to your satisfaction, then you should be in charge of getting it done. But in that term, you want to write who is going to do the action. So is it the seller or the buyer? To what standard professionally? How are they going to prove it? How is it measurable? To provide receipts? And when does it have to be done by? And then what's going to happen if it's not done?
Yeah, and the cleaning one, we always find it's tricky kind of clause. Even if you put everything in, your standard on cleaning could be completely different from the company possibly the seller chose for the cleaning kind of clause. So, but as long as the seller can show you a receipt that is done professionally, showing there was a payment done, technically that's a satisfied clause.
It is, but here's the other thing: is if you want work done around the house, those are sometimes other clauses that you'll want to put into a contract.
Yes, but often after home inspection, when you find a furnace needs to be cleaned, for example, or such.
Exactly.
Right?
But again, I'll tell you, it's always my opinion, you are better to take that money off the price to ensure that it's done correctly, so that you can hire people that you feel are qualified, that will do it to your standard, and that you can hold accountable.
Exactly.
Because the last thing you want to do is get into a contractual dispute in a real estate contract, because your only recourse is small claims court.
Yeah. So let's go through this again. Again, who is going to be doing it? Make sure it's clear in the clause that the seller will be responsible or the buyer will be responsible for such. Who is paying for it? Then what exactly is going to be done? So be specific. Don't just say clean the house. If you want appliances to be cleaned, make sure the appliances are also part of the cleaning the house. And then what to be done? Or by when?
When?
So you need to know, like if you wanted to get it done by possession day, a week before possession day, or 24 hours. So make sure you're specific on the date when it needs to be done. How are you going to follow up? How are you going to check it was done, basically, right?
Yeah, what's the measurability to make it complete?
If it's something it needs to be fixed, sometimes you can invite the home inspector back to check if that was done. If it's a cleaning kind of a process, sometimes we do that, most of the time actually, 24-hour walkthrough before the possession.
But even though, so this is the other thing actually, the walkthroughs are such a great example of people write, hey, I'm going to do a walkthrough through the possession. If you don't specify your purpose of the walkthrough and what happens if certain things aren't met during that walkthrough, that's another great example of that devil being in the details. Just like, too, as I've seen this, where people say, well, I want the carpets cleaned before possession. And so the people clean the carpets 3 months before possession. That is a detail that is specific. You have to say that I want the house cleaned within 24 hours of possession, within 48 hours of possession.
That's a very good detail right there, for sure. That's why you need to be as specific as possible.
Yeah. And sometimes these clauses, when you write them, you feel like it takes up the entire clause box, or you have to get a whole nother separate piece of paper.
Clause box is never enough, to be honest. If you have more than one, it's definitely not enough.
And then you even have to be so specific in your details when writing those clauses. So we call them holdbacks. So if you say, hey, I'm going to have you fix the plumbing by a professional plumber prior to possession day, when you're going to provide receipts to prove that it was done, and then if it's not done come possession, my lawyer is going to hold back, let's say, $1,000. Now, if you don't write after that then my lawyer has the authority to release the $1,000 to me, all you've done is you've written a clause that your lawyer gets to hold on to $1,000, but you haven't said what the lawyer gets to do with that $1,000. So that's
a good little detail.
Yeah, so those are those small itsy bitsy details. When you're writing these clauses, that's why they're so lengthy and cumbersome, is because you have to write out every step of the process. And you'll think, well, it's assumed if there's a holdback that obviously they're going to give it to me. Unfortunately, that's not the way clauses work.
Yeah.
You have to write it in detail so everyone is understood. Because like we said, the last thing you want to do is go fight this out in small claims court, because we as agents only have so much authority, and lawyers only have so much authority, and those are limited to the clauses within the contract.
And again, like, people assume different things. You assume one thing, the lawyer assumed another thing. Generally, when the holdback happens, the lawyer keeps the money in a trust account until the problem or the issue or whatever is resolved.
Yeah.
So if they haven't cleaned the house, generally the seller has to like bring the cleaner to fulfill the contract in order to get the $1,000 back, right? But it doesn't go back to the buyer. So that's kind of an important detail. And also, like, you know, we use it for real property reports quite often. That's probably one of the most common holdbacks. And make sure that you are reasonable with your holdback as well, right? Make sure that the seller, it's kind of a negotiable thing with the seller, but don't kind of agree to the amount that's gonna cost you more.
Well, and that's the other thing, is it has to be a reasonable holdback. That's another great point, is you don't get to hold back $5,000 for a $5 light switch. Your holdback should be within reason. Now, of course, everything is negotiable in a contract between the buyer and the seller, and certainly you both have to agree. But if you put in an unreasonable holdback like $5,000 and you say, well, as long as they make sure it's done, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's, again, if your clause becomes so unreasonable, it actually can almost become unenforceable. But again, we're not lawyers, and you should talk to lawyers, which is also sometimes a recommendation to give lawyers a call. And professional realtors will give lawyers a call, especially if we're trying to write in very tricky clauses that have very specific actions that we need to make sure are done. We'll actually call the real estate lawyers that we always recommend to you, and we'll ask them for help in how to write the clause to ensure that it's enforceable. That's what good agents do.
Definitely. I have done it for sure.
Always. I've had lots of scenarios where we've had to write and call lawyers and say, here's the wording, tell me where we need to tweak it. And we'll do that. And lots of times, if they're your real estate lawyer or the one that everyone anticipates you're going to use, they have no problem doing it, especially for us, because we send a lot of these lawyers a lot of business. So they have no problem helping us make sure that our contracts are enforceable, because it causes them less issues in the future.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the lawyers also like, you know, that consistency to work with us, because we have that already trust relationship. So getting a call from us or answering our email is not a big issue, which is really good to have that connection and that established relationship from the professional side.
Absolutely.
I do agree, because sometimes those things happen in random hours and you're like, oh my God, I need to do this now. So that's really good to have. So just remember that if you are negotiating something special besides just your financial and home inspection condition, that the house needs to be sold upon possession, gives you delivered certain terms that needs to be met. Make sure you're very specific again on who, when, what, and how.
Yep.
Basically.
And then what happens if it doesn't happen?
And exactly, and be
repercussions.
Reasonable. Yeah. So it's the nutshell, a very complicated topic.
But here's the easiest thing. Hire a professional.
Yes.
And especially if you have a professional with a ton of experience, like myself and Anna, who have done tons of contracts and are absolutely diligent in ensuring that, I always joke around with people, I say the only surprises I like are diamonds. So I like to write my clauses so the only surprises are diamonds.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's even, just remember, if it's tricky for us as who've been in business for very long to do it, don't do it yourself. Like,
no,
seriously,
gosh, no.
If you are representing yourself, make sure you have a good lawyer on your side who can help you out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, happy talk. Prize time. Now,
So-
we're not giving away prizes, but this is the last week to like and share in order to get our spooky skull decanter and big, huge ice balls.
Yes.
So that's being given away this week. Of course, you can see that everything
This is the last week. So from this Wednesday to next Wednesday is the last time to like, share, show some love to Tipsy Realtors, and you'll get name entered into the draw for all the prizes that have been provided on behalf and by RE/MAX Realty Professionals.
Absolutely. Now,
yes.
Also, too, is if you did learn something in the show today, please share it below. We love to hear your feedback.
If you want to give us an example of your clause.
But put it in the bottom feedback. Yeah. Let us know, because we love hearing and seeing what it is you learned, how it is we helped, the light bulb moments. So, and I hope you guys all do have a very lovely Halloween that's coming up this weekend.
Yes, enjoy. You know, it looks like it's not going to be too bad for trick-or-treating.
No, it does. It looks like it's going to be
I'm really digging this margarita drink, though.
It is a beautiful, honestly, an incredible margarita.
It's really high maintenance for me, though. Like the layering part, cleaning, like I just imagine my kitchen will be covered in wine.
So, if you're looking at buying or selling real estate, or you know anyone else in the next 6 to 12 months who is, please ensure that they give us a call to make sure that you and them make the highest and best educated decision when it comes to purchasing the largest and most valuable asset in most people's lives.
Absolutely. We're available on all social media as well as by phone. But you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, I believe.
Exactly.
Do we have the next episode details?
We do, I know, and we forgot that last time.
Well, November, starting on Monday.
Which is Movember.
Movember, so we're having a nice fresh start and topics about men and real estate.
Exactly, which you're going to be shocked as to how many male topics there are. Yeah. So we're starting with the grumpy old men, and we're talking about real property reports and when you need them. And we have a very special guest coming with us next week, so that's a surprise, so watch for that. But the cocktail is to align with the fact that people always get grumpy when they find out about the cost of real property reports and when they need them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thanks again for watching, and until next week.
See you guys later. Happy Halloween.
Bye-bye.